There lived a woman named Ngozi, and Ngozi was a widow. Ngozi was a businesswoman, and she started her business in a big way. She is into pepper and tomatoes, and later her business was no longer moving well for her. So she decided to start up another business, which she rented a shop and started selling vegetables. And she also realized that she was not making a good sales from her recent business. She kept on going to her shop on a daily basis with no one coming to buy from her. Ngozi became troubled. She realized that one of her neighbor, which is her friend, was making a lot of sales and people were lining up in her friend's shop to buy from her. They buy whatsoever that is in her neighbor's shop, no matter how bad the item may look. She became confused and she started thinking and asking herself some questions. Ngozi became very frustrated because she has so many people that was looking up to her, and her children was also expecting her to bring some food items home when she's coming back home. So Ngozi gathered the mind to meet with her neighbor, and then she explained to her what was really going on with her. She told her on how she did not used to make a sales, that at times she would trek back home because of no money for transport. And then her neighbor looked at her and laughed at her, and then encouraged her to be focused and consistent. Ngozi asked her neighbor to tell her how she does her own that's made people to be lining up in her shop. And the neighbor kept on laughing at her and kept on telling her for her to be focused and consistent. So one day, Ngozi went and met her neighbor for the second time, and she pleaded with her in her house. And Ngozi's neighbor told her that she won't understand. But since she was insisting on knowing her source, that if she was ready, that she could take her somewhere. And Ngozi became very happy for her answered prayer. She was eagerly awaiting for the day. So Ngozi's neighbor fixed a date for them to went to a place. When the appointed date came, Ngozi's neighbor took Ngozi to a very far place, and when they got there, they entered into the compound. Ngozi's neighbor took her to a small hut, and since there was no sign of danger, Ngozi was relaxed. Later on, a man came out and asked Ngozi's neighbor what Ngozi wanted. And Ngozi's neighbor told the man that Ngozi wanted to expand her business, that she wants to be making a lot of sales like her. And the man asked Ngozi's neighbor if she was ready, and she replied that she was. And the man asked Ngozi's friend to take her outside and explain more to Ngozi. When Ngozi's friend took her out, she told her to make sure that she does everything that the man asked her to do, and that she should not argue with him in order not for him to get angry with her, and to do everything possible for her to make good sales. The man asked Ngozi to look at her side, that there was a goat, and that she should take the one that she could afford, because there was prices on each of the goats. Ngozi went and took the smallest one because she does not have enough money. And then she paid for the goats, and then they went back home. When they got home to their base, the next day, Ngozi went to the market, and a lot of people were coming in and out. People were lining up to buy from her, and she became very happy that her prayer has been finally answered. People kept on queuing, lining up. They keep on buying whatsoever she put on the table. And later on, she received a call from so many customers that want to buy from her, because when people buy from her, they do resell. And some minutes after, she received a call that her last born was very ill and has been rushed to the hospital. She became very surprised because the little boy was not having any signs of illness before she left home to the market. On her getting to the hospital, she realized that her little boy was lying lifeless on the hospital bed. Ngozi then wiped her tears and continued her business, and she was making a lot more gains than before. And people kept on coming, collecting her numbers to buy from her. And after 1.5 years, her business stopped moving well, as usual, and people stopped coming to buy from her, including people that do call her on phone. They stopped calling her on phone, and she was not making any sales. Ngozi went back and told her neighbor about the sudden change in her business, and she told her that they have to go back to the Baba for renewal. Later, they went back to the Baba, and the Baba told her to pick a goat again. And Ngozi went and picked a bigger goat because she had enough money at the moment, unlike the previous time that she picked the smallest one, not knowing that the bigger goat that she was picking was her eldest son. She went back home with her friend after picking the goats, and the next day so many people were lining up to buy from her, and she was making a lot of gain, more than she have ever made before. And suddenly she received a call again that her eldest son was rushed to the hospital and was having the same symptoms that the last one that died was having. She left everything that she was doing and went to the hospital. And on her getting to the hospital, her son was also confirmed dead. Then Ngozi ran back to her neighbor and told her to explain things to her, that she did not longer understand what was going on with her anymore. And Ngozi's friend told her that was why she kept on telling her to be focused and consistent, that she sacrificed all her children as well. Ngozi was heartbroken and was questioning her friend, asking her why she didn't tell her before taking her there, why she did not explain the processes to her. And Ngozi's friend told her that it was because the person that took her to Baba for the first time did not also explain things to her as well. So the next day, Ngozi and her neighbor decided to went back to the Baba, and when they got there, the Baba told her to make a bigger sacrifice so that everything would be okay for her and her soul. He asked her to pick the largest and biggest goats, and then Ngozi went and picked the biggest and largest goat according to instructions. The next day, she went to her shop and she was making a lot of sales, more than ever before. And within some minutes, Ngozi fell on the floor and lies lifeless. The moral lesson from this story is about consequences of greed. Greed can lead people to make an ethical and harmful choice. So be mindful of the choice you make and also be mindful of the people you call your friends, because it's not everyone that can show you a good way. And also be consistent and all